Well, it's 2 weeks now since the start of the Iran war, a war that still seems to be escalating. The US military have said all 6 crew members of an American refuelling plane have died after it crashed in western Iraq. US Central Command said the crash was not due to hostile or friendly fire. Meanwhile, the Israeli army says they've been carrying out a new wave of airstrikes on the Iranian capital, Tehran. They also say they've expanded operations against Hezbollah in Beirut in Lebanon. Well, so far today, there have been no new strikes targeting oil tankers near the Strait of Hormuz, which remains, however, effectively closed to Western shipping. Iran's neighbours in the oil-rich Gulf states, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, also continue to be targeted. One other important development in the UK, petrol retailers have been called to Downing Street as the government warns against price gouging and consumers being overcharged. Let's start this hour, though, with this report on the war from our diplomatic correspondent Caroline Hawley.
Waging war is always both a dangerous and complex logistical mission. Here, an American fighter jet is being refuelled mid-air. It was a refuelling aircraft like this one that crashed in the desert of western Iraq, killing at least 4 of those on board. In Tehran this morning, on day 14 of the conflict, yet more airstrikes. The streets of the capital are practically deserted. Residents speak of living in constant fear, caught between bombardment from the sky and the repressive forces of the regime, led now by Mujtaba Khamenei. The new supreme leader present in portraits, though he's not yet been seen in public, with reports he was one of the first casualties of the war. This morning, the US Defense Secretary said Iran's military had been decimated.
Iran's leadership is in no better shape. Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured.
At a rally of regime supporters that Mujtaba Khamenei called on people to attend, other senior officials did appear for a show of defiance. There are chants of death to Israel and death to America. And state-run television showed images of smoke rising from another airstrike nearby. Footage released by the Iranian Red Crescent today reveals the human cost of this conflict, its humanitarian consequences growing by the day.
It's a residential neighborhood with a narrow alley, where several houses and several people have been affected. Rescuers are working to find anyone still alive as quickly as possible.
The UN says that more than 3 million Iranians have now fled to try to escape the bombings. On another front, in Lebanon today, the aftermath of an Israeli airstrike on the outskirts of the southern city of Sidon. The suffering of Lebanese civilians is also increasing by the day. Israel's continued hitting targets around the country and is now threatening to expand its operations if rockets fired at it by Hezbollah don't stop. And the unforeseen global consequences of this regional war continue. There was good news today for Russia and its oil tankers stranded in the Gulf. The US is trying to stabilise soaring energy prices caused by the conflict, and it's now issued a unilateral waiver to countries to buy sanctioned oil products, a move that's opposed by Washington's European allies and the UK. Caroline Hawley, BBC News.